Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have you have a seat for a moment, please. Take your seats. I know there's so much energy in the room, but our poet laureate would like to start. And when he's ready, we can't hold him up. Professor Duncan Nelson, our poet laureate, University of Massachusetts, Boston.
So, thank you, Keith. So I will don my bardic bays. So glad we got here on time. It was pretty tough out on the highways. So, here at the start, I will say here at the start, I've not written an ode from the heart, more from the heart than this one, celebrating these most distinguished honorees. After which, I've reserved time for honoring our Chancellor. See, already, they get the idea. Might try my glasses too. This is so exciting. What a great place. What a venue. And I got to sit at a table with two of the honorees, one of whom comes on very quickly. Daniela, bravo. How do you say it? Turquia? Or Turquia? Which way? Turquia, I thought so. After reading letter after letter, it's clear that no one deserves better the John F. Kennedy Award than Daniela Bravo Turquia. My Lord, imagine how distant was her dream. Coming here from Chile at 12, it would seem there would be but little chance for her to heights of achievement advance. But advance she did, self-reliant, undeterred, and thoroughly defiant. She has fought for immigrant rights and taken the lead in many fights against the threat of deportation felt by immigrants across the nation. Like Joan of Arc, she's one of those maids to stand tall and resist the raids. So as a body, let's stand and yella, bravo and brava to Daniela. Bravo, bravo. Now this is a tough one. Is it Olcani or Olchani? Olchani, all right. Professor Olchani is UMass's expert not only in quantum gases and quantum mechanics, but his wisdom spread across to cold atomic systems and other phenomena. The citations of his numerous publications are in number as implausible as his doing what was believed impossible, viz. A new phase transition in one-dimensional systems. This should win him a Nobel Prize in physics, some say. For distinction in scholarship, none would say nay. Congratulations. And Kenneth Rockwell, there he is. I have a good rhyme for you. Many teachers here doth well, but none better than Kenneth Rockwell. Rothwell. After each paper Ken kens, he thereupon conscientiously pens comments sometimes longer than the original paper itself ran. Of many courses, he's been a creator and also an active innovator, bringing to his delighted clients courses such as music and science. So appropriately for his far-reaching successes, he's earned distinction in teaching. Kenneth. And where's Linda? Is she here? In Linda Dumas, you will find a whole heart and a free mind, tirelessly serving the underserved. Her commitments has never swerved from giving assistance broad and deep, and no one knows better how to keep programs in health and welfare going than Linda, someone always showing compassion, warmth, and humility. So distinction in service comes appropriately to Linda. We are honored to honor Gerald Chan, who has pioneered many treatments of cancer, and as my enjambment shows, finds groundbreakingly novel ways of undertaking treatments of Alzheimer's and autism, presents us such an impressive prism of scientific activity, has earned him this honorary degree. Gerald Chan. Congratulations. Scientific activity. Irina Bokova. Have I said it right? Almost? Irina? All right. Irina Bokova, we salute you for your ceaselessly resolute work as a veteran diplomat around the world, seeing that equal education and human rights are honored. Irina Bokova invites us all to join in having an impact on prevention of any terrorist act and playing a part in healing the schism caused by every form of racism. Director General of UNESCO, to your honor, we all say yes. Pretty good rhyme. Squeeze a little enjambment. UNESCO, UNESCO, in your honor, we all say yes. Eileen, she's also at my table. Eileen Pollack, honoris causa. Your achievements are quasi implausible. As both writer and scientist, you have produced a voluminous list of articles, novels, short stories, and non-fiction and textbooks. The list goes on. And what we're all hoping will soon doom the Boys Club is the only woman in the room. Rounding out indeed your perfect life, we thank you for being midwife to our thinking over a wide range that encourages the right kinds of change. To Eileen. Richard Holbrooke, even though he's in here, I'm going to say it loud. A man who can bring his bank to the brink of 10 million in assets must, I think, be a fiduciary whiz, which indeed Richard Holbrooke is. But his mind is set not only on banking, for many an organization is thanking him for championing justice, healthcare too, then on to LGBTQ. The disabled, diversity, education. You, sir, are a beacon of transformation. So a Chancellor's Medal is going to Richard F. Holbrooke, sir, to you. Give him a hand anyway. Pedro Rosello. Where's Pedro? Pedro? No Pedro? Pedro Rosello, we know that Puerto Rico will never come close to muerto, with you as its surgeon, in many ways winning universal praise for combating crime, reforming health care. Indeed, almost everywhere we look, education, the tax system, the judiciary, all gain from your wisdom. And particularly in human rights and well-being, you have led the fights in a manner truly magnifico to support the whole world, not just Puerto Rico. So the Chancellor's Medal goes to a fellow who is muy bien, Pedro Rosello. Yehudi Weiner. Is Yehudi here? He is. Yehudi Weiner, with a first name which is already a claim to fame, has on his own merits earned that and more, having written many a score, deserving of many an encore. He's received commissions from Carnegie Hall, and indeed, were I to list all his continuo, it would go on so long that I really must here cut short my song, and say for the many works you have writ, you as Doctor of Fine Arts shall there sit. Richard Galvin. All right. Where is he so I can directly address him? No, Richard Galvin has left his mark all over New England, helping to spark development of the new State Street Bank, and recently opened hotels can thank him for raising elements aloft. Pretty clever. Pardon my pun. And my hat is doffed to him for his role in a better city, literally, and let my ditty not conclude before I pay him honor for helping the La Bourrée Center and the Providence Foundation. You win Chancellor's Medal by acclamation. Acclamation. And here my concluding words are for our peerless and fearless Chancellor. Keith Motley, you have been a colossus, one of the best, most supportive of bosses one could hope to have, not just large in frame, but in heart and spirit, having the same heroic dimensions in your vision. With Barry Mills now adding precision of accounting, there is no accounting of the heights to which we'll now be mounting in size and academic stature as well. As Winston Langley will gladly tell of the many examples of outreach, of transformative ways we learn and teach here to places far flung around the world. Opportunities abound for students to work for degrees from Scotland down to the Antipodes. But all that is just the tip of the iceberg. Keith Motley, you grip. Your grip is such that it comprehends we must go after the largest of ends, towards having diversity and inclusion lead to educational revolution, so that what we have here begun has as the end result of its run a world that works for everyone, with nobody and nothing left out. Yes, that's what you have been all about. So you too, let's give a shout. Here's the kids.
Thank you, thank you. Let's give it up for Duncan, ladies and gentlemen. Ode to Honor. Thank you for another incredible ode and for a memorable performance. As always, we're so blessed to have you as part of this community, Duncan. 87 years on this earth and still going strong, and we're so proud of you. Thank you so much. So everybody, thank you for making it. You know, it was a little bit of sunshine out there today, and all of you made it through. You know what happens in Boston with the first raindrop. Traffic gets tied up. You had to come and navigate your way through our beautiful campus, but you're here, and we're so grateful to you. Distinguished guests, trustees, Board of Visitors members, honorees, friends, family, colleagues, and community members, welcome to our honorary degree dinner for our 49th commencement here at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. I'm so glad that all of you took the time to join us tonight for the celebration of the achievements of our students, our faculty, and our Chancellor's Medal and honorary degree recipients. Now, I know some of you have to rush out of here because there's other business happening in Boston. In fact, that's why there was such a crowd. And so some of you are going to have to run off because I heard the Celtics are playing or something like that. But like Mark Wahlberg says, you can watch it anywhere now. You can watch it under the table when you're at events like this. But, you know, I got to rush out of here too. So this is going to be done family style tonight. We're going to be eating and talking, and no one has to feel like that is something that is inappropriate to do. But the reason I'm running out of here because the Penguins are in Game 7 tonight. My mama is here, and she's a Sid the Kid fan, and she wants to get home to watch that hockey game. That's the reason why I'm getting out of here, so Sid the Kid can win tonight. But Speaking of that, I have all of my family here with me tonight, my beautiful wife, the First Lady of this institution, and also all of my children, my son Keith, Kayla, and they're sitting in the right order. Even though Jordan believes it's the right order goes this way. It's Keith, Kayla, and Jordan. She thinks it goes Jordan, Kayla, and Keith. But that's how the youngster always is in the family. But also my sister is here from Pittsburgh as well. And so we're so grateful to have all of you here representing us tonight. So for some of you, this may be, for anyone that this is the first time on our campus, we're so grateful that you're here. We're so grateful that you have an opportunity to see what we get to live in every day. Some people saw this as a refuse site years ago. It was called Old Dump Road. But now it's one of the most incredible destination points in a beautiful capital city like Boston, in a great commonwealth like Massachusetts, as part of an incredible university system, but also the higher education ecosystem in Boston is second to none. And we are so proud to be part of that. We're pleased to welcome you. We're pleased to have this opportunity to get to know you a little better over some bread and a little bit more than that. Even though we are a public university, we will feed you a little better than that tonight. And thank you for giving us a timeout in the middle of our incredible commencement activities. You know, this is the third year that we've gone to from one commencement day with a whole lot of baccalaureates to a whole week of incredible opportunity. And so this celebration this evening is an extension of our graduate commencement that took place earlier. And today, it took place earlier today, and it's a precursor to our undergraduate commencement that we're going to celebrate tomorrow morning. Now, most of us in attendance this evening will have an early start. Some of us have to be up very early to be downtown. But, as I mentioned, we're going to move it along. And so we have a wonderful meal for you this evening. Dive in, enjoy your first course as the speaking program begins shortly. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm so thrilled, first of all, to see so many friends and family of this university here. To all my colleagues, thank you. To our volunteers, thank you so much. Give them a round of applause. To everyone who's serving us tonight, to our incredible University of Massachusetts Boston jazz band that was back there. To the gentleman that is keeping us safe in the back of the room, thank you. To all of our distinguished guests, thank you. Thank you for your service and commitment to higher education, but also thank you for helping and understanding that we are growing and learning every day as individuals, but also as a university community. We love that. That's why we get excited to see you. That's why we get excited to share with you. When we celebrate our 49th commencement ceremonies, we also celebrate each of you in this room and all of our colleagues that couldn't be here with us tonight. The vital role you play in all of this in advancing the student-centered urban public research university that is the University of Massachusetts Boston is amazing for us, and thank you. As always, my most special and most incredible thank you goes to every single one of you. We're grateful to have several of our board members here tonight. One of them I'm going to bring up to speak first. And then one of them doesn't even know she's speaking tonight. But I always do that to our student. We don't even call you student trustees. We call you trustees. But, you know, our former chair of our board, who is an incredible trustee, Henry Thomas, who came up from Springfield today, is going to kick off our speaking program tonight. So come on up here, Henry, while I talk about you. You know, he is an incredible human being. And you know, his family has hundreds of years of legacy in Western Massachusetts. He's the president and CEO of the Urban League of Springfield Incorporated. That's his day job. But he's here so much, we're trying to figure out, do you have a day job here too? We love you for that, man. Henry, thank you for your service and your efforts to make sure that this support system, that everything that we have around us is supported by you. And so you're going to come and kick this off. And then our trustee, Artistani, is coming up here. You're going to be next. So you're on board, all right? So Henry, you come speak. And then here's what we're going to do. Here's the order. I am going to pull you up. First thing that I will want to do is I'm going to acknowledge our faculty because of their distinctions that they won. I want to make sure that they get a chance to stand up and turn around because I'm going to talk about them tomorrow, and I don't want to get into all of that until then. Then we're going to move through and we're going to have the speakers come. I know, Dr. Chan, you're going to have to leave soon. Let me just say this. You missed an incredible speech today. Stand up so we can see you, man. I know you got bread in your hand. He's like, Chancellor, don't you know your family? You don't interrupt me when I got bread in my hand. But listen, I was walking out in the audience today, as I tend to do when I sneak off the stage at commencement, and students were talking about how fascinated they were by Dr. Chen's speech. He said they were hitting the soul by him as someone who immigrated to this country. His story resonated with them, who's a prolific scholar in multiple disciplines, and it was amazing. So thank you for your speech. We appreciate you. Henry, come on up here and open us up, and we're going to keep this going. Now, as long as I just talked, they told me my responsibility was to move the program along. Now imagine that. You know, the great thing is, in this marathon and passing the baton, my good colleague, Barry Mills, is very good at moving it along. He moves these agendas along, so he'll be a little quicker at that. But you know your chancellor. It's very difficult when I get this mic in front of me and I see you out there. So come on up here, Henry.
If the intent was to move the program along, I don't know if I was the right guy to come up because I never found a mic that I didn't like. But good evening to UMass Boston friends, distinguished guests, and most importantly, tonight's honorees. I am delighted to join Chancellor Motley and Provost Langley, Trustee Burns, and Student Trustee Fatim Artistani, and all of you for this wonderful commencement celebration, recognizing this year's honorees and our graduates, members of the class of 2017. Boy, how fast time flies. What a special night for this University of Massachusetts, Boston. Tonight, we celebrate our distinguished honorees. Honorary degree recipients Gerald Chan, Irina Bokova, Elaine Polak, and Yudi Wiener. He told me to call him something else, but I'm not going to do that. And Chancellor's Medal recipients Richard Holbrook and Richard Galvin. Let's give them a premature round of applause. I congratulate all of you being honored during these commencement exercises, and thank you for your contributions. We also celebrate the hard work and commitment of all the students who graduated earlier today or will graduate tomorrow morning. On behalf of the President of UMass System, President Marty Meehan, and the UMass Board of Trustees, chaired by Rob Manning, I want to say how proud we are at this time each year as we send another group of UMass graduates out across the state and into the world to make a difference in their communities. As trustees, our focus is on expanding educational opportunities for students, persevering the vital mission of the Urban Research University, and contributing to a better Commonwealth, nation, and world through the transformative power of public higher education. And it is easy to stay student-focused when you visit UMass Boston and witness the drive, determination, talent, and excellence of our students. Your student trustee, Panta Fatim Aristani, who will graduate tomorrow, is no exception. She represented this campus and her student body with distinction, dedication, and honor in the true spirit of public service. Thank you, Panta. Thank you for your service. When Panta spoke at the trustee meetings, everybody listened. She was very, very impactful in her messages at each one of our meetings. And it is because of the efforts of so many of you gathered here tonight that UMass Boston is continuing to grow in stature and significance in the city, and as well as the Commonwealth and indeed nationally and internationally. Not the least of whom is Chancellor Motley. His decade of leadership has brought the expansion and strengthening of academic programs, rapid enrollment growth, and the physical transformation of the campus, and the elevation of UMass Boston to Tier 1 National Research University status. Chancellor Keith Motley is a leader extraordinaire. His empathy, your tenacity, your sagacity, your pertinacity has enabled UMass Boston to reach unbelievable and sometimes unimaginable heights of achievement in so many areas. We owe, because of what you've provided in your leadership and in your commitment, we owe you a debt of gratitude, Keith, that we could never pay. So we just humbly ask that you accept our praise, our appreciation, and our thanks for your legendary work, efforts on behalf of UMass Boston and the entire UMass system. Thank you. So let's work together in the years ahead to keep the momentum going. On behalf of the UMass Board of Trustees, I am very proud. I am very proud of this campus. I am proud of all of you, and I look forward to a bright future for UMass Boston. Thank you, and hope everyone has a wonderful evening tonight. Yeah.
So our trustee, Artisani, is looking at me. She says, you told me that Trustee Thomas had some power. But I didn't know that he could let me skip a whole grade. She's going to graduate next year. What we've done is we've cut her range short so she can get back into that classroom because she has some incredible goals and wants to focus on those goals during her senior year and transition. So that speaks to the excellence of our students. You don't know what year they're in because they carry themselves in such an excellent way, whether they're freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, graduate students, PhD students, et cetera. So come on up here and let us greet you, Pantia. She was stunned.
Thank you, Chancellor Motley.
You're welcome.
I hope you don't mind. I prepared a little something. I think someone let it slip that I might be speaking tonight, so. So it is truly an honor to address you all here tonight as the student trustee. As a pre-med student, I don't think I fully understood what I was getting myself into with all the politics involved at the board level. But all jokes aside, it has truly been a wonderful experience getting to represent both the undergraduate and graduate students. I think some advice that I received from Chancellor Motley that really helped me with my role was act like a sponge and absorb everything, because the best way to learn in a new setting is to begin by listening. I don't know if you remember that. I realized that by listening to our diverse student body, there were many opportunities to further enhance the experience students have at a great institution. And actually, what I truly love about UMass Boston are the ample opportunities we have that aid in personal growth. I myself came to study here from California, and I get a lot of, why would you ever come here from California to Massachusetts? But in all honesty, I saw that UMass Boston was going through a period of growth, and I figured the best way for me to grow as an individual was to be a part of an institution that was also growing. It also helped that it was nearby the water, and it's really beautiful. But so the last thing I just want to say before turning it back to you is that I know it's an exciting time right now, and tomorrow many of you will be walking across the stage, embarking on a new chapter in your lives with different opportunities of growth. And I just want to say congratulations and good luck. Also, a special congratulations to our honorees here with us tonight. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
What an incredible trustee. What incredible trustees. Today we sent more than 1,200 graduate students out into the world to use their advanced degrees to improve our local and our global communities. We also look forward to celebrating tomorrow with over 3,000 students who will be awarded their undergraduate degrees, many of whom will be the first in their family to earn college degrees. Those students are trailblazers in every sense of the word, and we salute those students and we salute you. Given how momentous this occasion is, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share with you our honorees, who are accomplished in their own right and will grace us by all sharing wisdom earned through their accomplishments with our graduates tonight and tomorrow. One of the shining stars is this year's winner of the John F. Kennedy Award for Academic Excellence. She's an incredible student. Daniela Bravo Turquia, stand up so we can see you. You're going to hear from her tomorrow at commencement. She is an incredible student out of our College of Liberal Arts, and we're so grateful to her. I would now like to acknowledge our outstanding faculty members, 3 of the winners of the annual Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Teaching, for Distinguished Scholarship, and for Distinguished Service. Please stand up as your names are read. The recipient of the Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Teaching is Professor Kenneth Rothwell, Chair of the Classics in the College of Liberal Arts. The Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Scholarship goes to this year to Professor Maxim Ochani from the Department of Physics. And the winner of the Chancellor's Award for Distinguished Service is Professor Linda Dumas from the Department of Nursing. Give them all a round of applause. Further, I want to acknowledge Irina Bokova. Listen, she's the first woman and the first Eastern European to serve as the Director General of the United Nations Educational, Science, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, and a veteran international diplomat who has fought for women's rights and against racism and anti-Semitism and on and on and on and on. You're going to hear from her tomorrow because she's providing our principal address. Stand up so we can see you tonight, so we can get ready for tomorrow. We're going to honor you with an honorary doctorate of science then, and we're looking forward to your speech. Along with those honorary degrees, we're proud to present honorary degrees and chancellor medals to 4 deserving individuals. Today, we look forward to presenting a chancellor's medal for leadership and community commercial development to Richard Galvin. Come on up, Richard. Richard is an incredible individual. President and founder of Boston-based CV Properties, LLC. He's left his mark on the real estate development sector across New England, but he's left his heart here on so many at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. His firm developed a new 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art State Street Bank building at One Channel Center in Boston, and if you go downtown, you can't help but see the incredible structure. He recently opened a Loft and Element hotels in Boston's Seaport District, connecting that district and making it something that's going to be incredible in the future. But what I love about him is that he didn't have to be taunted or tied up and hidden in a closet or something. He hired our students as part of a program that was developed, and those students had the most incredible experience building those hotels, but working in every kind of industry related to that development that you can think of. This gentleman gets it. He has set us on the right course for our students. He's been a model for that, and I'm going to talk about lots of that tomorrow. Please join me in welcoming Richard to the podium.
Thank you, Chancellor Motley. Trustees, directors, members of the UMass Boston community, this is a tremendous honor for me, my family, who are all here tonight, and for CV Properties. And I'm really honored and privileged to be part of this incredible group of honorees who Chancellor Motley has mentioned already, and humbled to be part of that group, and also honored to be with the student honorees, most especially, as Chancellor Motley had mentioned, those were the kids that drove this whole experience. So I've been asked to share a few remarks about why a small, little-known real estate developer deserves such a great honor to be with all of the glittering folks here tonight. So let me take a stab at that. Opportunity, inclusion, diversity. These 3 words are bandied about often in business circles here in Boston today and quite frankly nationally as well. They symbolize the strong felt desires not only of those trying to achieve more with their lives and those who oftentimes feel left out, but also those in the business community who want to engage in that effort but generally just do not know how. This is especially true of the commercial real estate business in Boston, which has long been largely white and male. So to those 3 words, I add a 4th that I think is particularly crucial to make the first 3 come to fruition, and that is network. For so often the path to opportunity is tied directly to the networks that are created and the relationships that are built. We know that many times job seekers, students in particular, may look good on paper, but they do not have the relationships or the networks to eventually get hired. So we had an idea. Where traditionally most developers in Boston had become proficient at documenting how they could not achieve the goals of diversity and inclusion laid out before them, we took a different approach. We created CVP Academy in partnership with UMass Boston, the only public research university in the city of Boston. it was a natural fit for us. Could we create a program that would allow high-achieving students of diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, and interests to get a foothold in the real estate industry through a highly focused intern program and build the networks necessary to enhance their careers? We promised students 4 things from this program. Number 1, they would get paid. I think a lot of parents out there know that there's a lot of internship programs that don't pay anything. And we all know that compensation for a job well done is always connected to self-worth. Number 2, they would learn about this industry. They would get subject matter exposure. They would learn. Number 3, they would build their resumes with a world-class internship experience. And 4th, they would be mentored in a company and start to build the all-important networks that lead to opportunity. Let me share quickly with you some numbers. 57 total participants in the 3 summers we did it. 49% female, 30% African American, 19% Asian, 18% Hispanic, 17% Caucasian. A direct reflection of the diversity of this great university here in Boston. There were 24 participating companies, all leading companies in our business in Boston. So far, 9 students have turned this into additional or extended internship opportunities, and 6 have full-time jobs. CVP Academy has now been expanded into the National Association of Industrial and Office Parks Talent Development Program based here in Boston under the leadership of Milton Benjamin, and there has been discussion of creating a national platform based on what we created here in partnership with UMass. But here's the most important part, Chancellor Motley. I told these students that this program would only work if they exceeded expectations. If they showed the commercial real estate community in Boston that UMass Boston students are for real, can be great contributors to the industry, and that they deserved to take their place in the network. I can report to you that these kids not only exceeded, they excelled. My sincerest thanks to you for your leadership. It was the incredible leadership of Chancellor Motley and his entire team, Mark Kenyon, who's here, Matthew Power Cook, PK, Sandra King, who's here, Yvette Tetro from CV, and Senam Kumihara and Milton Benjamin, all worked very hard over these last 5 years to make this happen. But mostly, I thank the students for their joy, their desire, their hard work, and for the tremendous pride that they took in representing UMass Boston.
Dick Galvin, ladies and gentlemen. So Dick goes down the whole list. He talks about how incredible they are, you know, they like to work, all those kinds of things. And he goes down the list, he says they were working in different industries, but he never talked about the fact that when they asked me, Chancellor, are we going to be paid? They said, are we going to be paid or are we going to be paid? Dick paid them. And that was incredible. The amount of money they were able to make for their experience was incredible. And we are so grateful for that. Thank you for your investment. Is the incredible Eileen Pollock here? Come on up here, Eileen. She's another honorary award recipient, but she got hers already. She's walking around with hers on already. She's okay. She wore the right colors and everything today. She's a prolific award-winning author of such works as Women Walking Ahead in Search of Catherine Weldon and Sitting Bull, a 2003 Willa finalist, currently in post-production as a major motion picture, has been a giant of literature for more than 4 decades. She's one of the first 2 women to earn her BS in physics from Yale, graduating summa cum laude Lottie, 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 Lottie. Phi Beta Kappa with honors in her major. She's gone on to pen a host of novels and on and on and on. She's a professor. She's just an incredible human being. We enjoyed having her with us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Come on up to this microphone and share with us. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, and please keep eating. I can't tell you what an honor this is. It's such a surprise. I didn't see this coming. And I have to say, it's really strange to be honored for what you've always considered to be your great failure in life. And I don't say that in false modesty. I earned this undergraduate physics degree and then didn't go on and get a doctorate in physics. And even though I'm a professor of English at University of Michigan, which also, the blue is also for them, it does double duty, I don't have a doctoral degree in English either. I'm probably one of the only professors at my university that doesn't have a PhD. So it's really wonderful to get this honorary doctorate. It's much easier than actually earning one. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my story because people keep saying to me, oh, you have this amazing career path, and they make it sound as if it was intentional and I planned all this. And of course, as many of you know, the way you usually get where you end up is you stumble there, not having a clue what you're doing. And so I thought I'd give you a little more realistic idea of how I got where I am, and as Dr. Chan did this afternoon, try to give people a little sense of what it's really like to struggle, really. So I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, and I loved to write. I was also interested in science. I was interested in everything till when I got to junior high school. And it was not a good school. They didn't have any advanced courses in anything. But the principal was concerned because there was no calculus course, there was a very general physics class, and they were afraid that nobody would be able to go on in science. So they skipped ahead a few of the boys 2 years, so from 7th grade to 9th grade, in science and maths, with the idea being when they got to be seniors in high school, they could take physics and math at the community college. But I didn't get skipped ahead, and I was already very bored. So my mother asked the principal why I hadn't been allowed to move ahead in science and math, and the principal told her it was because I was a girl. And I hope I don't look that old to you. So, I mean, this is not the dark ages. And he said 2 things. He said, first of all, that it would ruin my social life to be skipped ahead in science and math. And for those of you who remember junior high, you might remember that if you were a girl who was good in anything but in science and math, you didn't have a social life anyway, so that really wasn't a concern. And the other thing he said was that it would only be wasting a seat because girls didn't really go on to careers in science and math, which I think is the definition of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't let people take the classes they need, they're not going to go on in those fields. If you keep them out of those fields, they will not end up in them. So being the kind of kid I was, I decided that was exactly what I was going to do. I was going to go on in science and math. And I basically stopped going to school, and I just found all the books I could find in the local libraries on science and math. And I got myself into Yale. They didn't have many women in those days. They were looking for kids from public schools. And basically, I got blown out of the water. Freshman year, in my intro physics class, there were 118 guys and the 2 of us girls. And almost all those guys had had 2 years of college physics and 2 years of college calculus when they were in high school at fancy private schools or Bronx High School of Science, or you can imagine. I think I got a 32 on my first midterm. Everybody else was complaining they were bored. So, you know, there's a long story. I was going to drop. I was going to switch majors. My parents thought I was crazy to be majoring in physics or even to be going to Yale. I didn't drop. I stuck with it. And as many of you know, as I think many of the students at UMass Boston know, if you come in feeling behind, right, if you feel like you don't belong, you know you have to work twice as hard sometimes, and you end up working 10 times as hard, and you think you're still behind. But by the end of 4 years, I was at the top of my class. I had, well, the reason I say this is because there's a belief, in the science community, many communities, that if you're not one of them, you didn't have what it takes to get there, right? If you really were great, and I've gotten so many emails to this effect, that if you're really great in something and you really love it, nothing will keep you from going on, right? Diana Nyad wanted to swim from Cuba to Florida, so she didn't let anything stop her, even all the jellyfish or whatever. They can't imagine that's not true, that they can keep you out. So by the end of so I think it's necessary for me to say that I actually did very well. I did a senior research project in theoretical physics that ended up being a publishable paper. I did a summer internship at Oak Ridge National Labs. I was the top of the class, and I just walked away. I didn't even know why. I didn't go on in physics, kind of fell apart. Very long story, but I eventually remade myself as a creative writer, as a fiction writer. For a while, I tried to write about scientists because I thought that would be interesting. Most writers don't know about science, I thought. But nobody wanted what I wrote about science. There's bias in all sorts of fields. What the editor said was, men won't read novels written by women, and women don't want to read, women's book groups don't want to read anything that has science in it, right? So for many years, I couldn't get it. Now they're all coming out. So the novel I had come out this year called The Perfect Life, which is about a scientist who actually is based on a real person who did her work at MIT. I finished that 15 years ago, but it's only coming out now. It only came out now. But here's the thing, I was so ashamed, because what had I done but prove my high school principal right, that women don't go on in science and math, right? I was ashamed of myself. I really struggled as a writer too. It all eventually worked out. How did it work out? Well, in 2005, Larry Summers, who was then president of the university up the road, that I won't name, he looked around his august institution and said, where are the women physicists on my faculty, right? He didn't phrase the question too well. So I think we owe him a lot, women in science owe him a lot, because nobody else was looking around and asking the question. He sort of ticked off all the possible reasons, and he said, well, maybe it's social bias and this and that, sexism, but he also said, well, maybe women at the highest IQ, they're just not up there in science with men, and maybe they don't want to work as hard. And I kind of knew those weren't the reasons. Also, strange as it may seem, I was sort of friends with Larry Summers. I knew him in ways I won't go into, but not like that, but not like that. It was high school debate. I didn't want to seem too nerdy, right? So I sat down, it was the advent of email, and I sat down to write him an email explaining to him why I hadn't gone on in physics, and to say it wasn't because of my IQ or because I didn't want to work hard. And next thing I knew, it was 2 in the morning, and I had a 20-page email. And even if you know the president of Harvard, you do not send him a 20-page email that you're writing furiously at 2 in the morning. So what I realized instead was that I had a book that I had to write. Whether you're a researcher in science or you're a writer, if there's a question you don't know the answer to, you do the research and you write up your results. So my question was, why hadn't I loved physics so much, I can't even tell you how much I loved it. Why didn't I, and I worked so hard, I did so well, why didn't I go on to graduate school and a career in physics? I didn't even understand it myself. And then I thought, why all these years later are young women still not going on in the hard sciences? And then I became more and more interested, where are all the people of color in the sciences? And so I did the research for 6 years. Some of it's memoir, some of it started to branch out to try to find other people's stories. And that was how I came to write The Only Woman in the Room, which also I had a hard time publishing because people said nobody's going to care about why there are not so many women and people of color in the sciences. But at that point, my career finally took off. I said I was an overnight sensation at 60 now. And so now it all looks as if I planned my life so well, right? To get the physics degree and not go on and become a writer so I could go back and write about why women don't go on in physics. Very clever of me. What I want to end by saying is that, that often that's what a life looks like. It's what you stumble into. But also that, you know, so for the since the book came out, actually since the excerpt from the book came out in the Times, I've been going around the country talking to universities, research institutions, government institutions about how to get more women and minorities into the sciences. And, you know, there's so many reasons for it, but it's just so much of it is that people don't go into fields where they don't see themselves, they don't see images of themselves, they think the culture isn't welcoming, the stereotypes of people in that field don't look like them, right? And it's funny because in my life as a writer and as someone who's run an MFA program in creative writing, I'm also always trying to get people into being poets and fiction writers who think they don't look like poets or fiction writers, right? Or whose families think, you know, they're first generation or whatever, why would you want to be a poet, right? So from both sides, I see so many people. It's not that I want women, you know, to be engineers if they don't want to be engineers. I want people who have certain talents and who love certain things to be able to pursue those passions, those careers, and not be held back either by different forms of bias or by these stereotypes of who does what and who's good at what. I don't know how many of you saw Hidden Figures, right? A great movie, you have to see it. Right? Who looks like a genius, right? And who really is one, okay? So sitting through this wonderful graduation ceremony today, to see people going up and getting a nursing award, we need male nurses too, right? We need men teaching kindergarten, teaching elementary school. So any of these stereotypes that are keeping people from achieving their dreams and making the society the best we can have it. You know, that's what I feel that we're all here to do. And I'm so impressed by UMass Boston. I know I did live in Boston for 15 years, so I know what this place is about, and I was on a review committee for your really wonderful MFA program. I think you have the best MFA program in New England, which many of you may not know. You have wonderful wonderful writers on the faculty and wonderful writers among your students. Anyway, this is just one of the greatest honors of my life, and I am just so delighted, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pollack. We're so grateful to you. Finally, I want to say to all of my colleagues that are here from the University of Massachusetts and the University of Massachusetts Boston, stand up so folk that our guests can see you. I know you're eating and stuff. Stand up. Thank you. Thank you. They look good, don't they? And also we have some of our Board of Visitors here, but also we have our current board chairman and also a University of Massachusetts Boston incredible legacy member here. Charlie Desmond is here. Stand up, Charlie. Former chairman Art Mabbitt, stand up. I also have my freshman college teacher here, Irene Nichols, who every time she tells me she loves me, I know it. And every time she forced me from the back of the room by telling me, what would your mother think if she knew you were sitting in the back of my classroom? And I said, she knows my mother? She used that on me, Ma, and I went to the front and I never went to the back again. And so thank you so much, Dr. Nichols. So I see they're bringing out dessert. Is that dessert? Oh my God. So finally, I want to introduce Yehudi Weiner, who's our final honorary degree recipient. Pulitzer Prize winning composer, has created over 100 works for orchestra, chamber, ensemble, chorus, solo performers, theater, and liturgical services. He has received commissions from Carnegie Hall, the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the BBC Philharmonic, Library of Congress, Ford Foundation, and on a National Endowment for the Arts, the Fromm Foundation. His awards includes a 2006 Pulitzer Prize in Music for his piano concerto, Chiavati in Mono, and 2 Guggenheim Fellowships, the Brandeis Creative Arts Award, a 2005 Grammy Award for The Mirror. I tell you, just incredible. A member of the Academy of Arts and Sciences. He's president of the American Academy of Arts and Letters. Please join me in welcoming Yehudi. Come on up. And I had to admit to him that when I was growing up, that little lady over there made me carry that violin home every day. A violin in one hand, a basketball in the other, and books in the other hand. You know, and I tell you, I got to get back to that. So thank you.
And my question was, how did he survive that?
It was difficult, but I made it home.
Hearing all that stuff, wow. Eileen, I'm sympathetic to your crooked path for ascension to some sort of status. I never had a plan. I never had a clear ambition or a path. I also would like to say to Eileen that I was at Yale for many years and was part of the advisory and pressure movement which insisted on admitting women to Yale University. And recognizing how that paid off, I'm very proud. My contact with UMass Boston is very slim, but very deep. One day, I came to a class and a presentation at UMass with my good friend Lloyd Schwartz. We went to a number of presentations, and then I went to his class of poetry, of students reading poetry, and not reading, but creating poetry. And in all the years of my teaching, I taught for 45 years at fairly decent institutions. In all those years, I had never seen an atmosphere like this. Sitting around in a circle, this young people criticized and commented on each other's poetry with a kind of sharpness and a lack of competitiveness or criticism which would hurt. It wasn't that they were all being nice. It was they had somehow understood how to be constructive human beings and how to ferret out the values of what each of them had to say. And I ascribe that largely to Lloyd's ministrations and his teaching, which I found just beautiful. Now, I was given the instructions that we are to be here for 3 to 5 minutes. And I said to myself, well, I have an idea. I'm going to present myself at the podium and say, I have nothing to say. And to stand there for 3 to 5 minutes with nothing to say. But the temptation was too great to do otherwise. My father used to say to me sometimes when I would say something in public, he would say it to me in Yiddish, which was one of his native languages. Aus der Host dat singular und se dreht sich herum in Moil, which means, that is, he has a little tongue and it seems to turn around in his mouth. In any case, something occurred to me which had to do with the idea that I would say nothing. In 1952, the really interesting composer, or as Schoenberg regarded him, an inventor of music, named John Cage, presented a composition which he entitled 4 minutes and 33 seconds for piano. This struck me as being an incredibly stupid idea because his colleague, David Tudor, an excellent pianist, sat down at the piano, opened the case. It was a grand piano, a Steinway, and sat there for 4 minutes and 33 seconds without playing or moving. Now, what did that mean? Well, it seemed to me to be a total negation of the art. The art where you make something happen, where you construct something, where you reveal something. What did that reveal? What was that emptiness? What was that silence? Well, I remember thinking about Marshall McLuhan when he said, "The medium is the message." I didn't understand it, but there seemed to be something powerful about it. Now we see, realizing the power of media, especially of the visual media, television and the rest, what he was talking about. And now, many, many years later, I have an idea of what John Cage really meant. As a composer, I didn't really like his music. I thought it was really ridiculous. It dealt with chants, it dealt with derivation from the I Ching, it was involved with Eastern Europe, Eastern religions. It was full of, for example, a composition which was notated by the slight imperfections on a piece of paper. I mean, dots which were randomly spread on a music page. A lot of his music is like that. There's other music called prepared piano music, which is rather charming. But in general, the idea seemed so negative. And yet, when we stop to think now of his idea of 4 minutes and 33 seconds, what was it really about? I think it was about setting a frame around a moment, a period, a measured period of contemplation, of silence which allowed one to be aware of one's surroundings, the sounds that are made by the steps on a carpet, by the spoon on a plate, by the breathing, by an accidental noise outside. And when we think of how these days every moment, or almost every moment of our time, is encumbered by noise, by media, by impressions. Now we have split screens. We can watch four football games at once. And of course, it's accompanied by an ad and the news report as well, even while the scores come from Oakland. It is impossible to escape the excess of the battering of media and noise and useless, anesthetizing information. Now, I don't write music that way. I have no sympathy with that. But I realize now that John Cage was not so much in my thinking a composer, but a prophet, somebody who was calling attention to the fact that with silence, you build the frame, and then you can fill it with useful and important things. In a book called Silence, John Cage wrote, "Our intention is to affirm this life, not to bring order out of chaos or to support improvements in creation, but simply to wake up to the very life we're living, which is so excellent once one gets one's mind and one's desires out of the way, and let it act of its own accord." In his lecture, "Where Are We Going? And What Are We Doing?" John Cage wrote, "Here we are. Let us say yes in our presence together in chaos."
Well, all right. And so that's going to conclude our program tonight, but I want to again thank our wonderful chef and our catering staff from the Max Ultimate Food. I sort of ran through the kitchen earlier, and it's great to see you all. Thank you so much. Now, tomorrow morning, we have an early morning. Y'all can stay here all night, but remember, we have to be down at the TD Bank North Garden by 7:30 a.m. for breakfast and for all kinds of things to get lined up and that kind of thing. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy your coffee and tea. I'm out of here. See you tomorrow. We're so grateful to each and every one of you. Thanks for coming out.